You have 30 seconds to tell me why I shouldn't walk out of this courtroom and let you rot in prison for the rest of your miserable life. I stood there in my best dress, the one I bought with money I actually earned, watching the man who once poured wine on me like I was trash now sitting in handcuffs, his expensive suit wrinkled, his empire crumbling around him. The federal agents wanted my testimony. His rivals wanted him dead. His former allies wanted him forgotten. And me? I was the only person in the world who could save him. Funny how life works, isn't it? How the people who hurt you the most sometimes become the ones you'd burn the world down to protect. How a man who humiliated you in front of dozens of people could become the reason you wake up smiling. How someone who represented everything you feared could teach you what it means to actually live. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who changed your entire understanding of who you are? Someone who terrified you and comforted you in the same breath. I'm curious because I never believed in that kind of connection until it happened to me. Where are you watching this from? Are you somewhere safe and warm, or are you fighting your own battles right now? However you're doing, I hope my story reminds you that sometimes the most unexpected people become our greatest gifts. My name is Alara Santos, and this is the story of how I went from being a broke cleaner who couldn't afford to grieve properly to the woman standing between a dangerous man and his destruction, holding more power than I ever imagined possible. This is about the night a Mafia boss humiliated me in front of an entire restaurant, and how that single moment of cruelty became the beginning of something I never saw coming. Something that would force both of us to choose between the lives we knew and the people we were becoming. But before I tell you about him, before I tell you about the power and the danger and the impossible choices, let me tell you who I was when we met. I was 28 years old, and I was drowning. Not dramatically. Not in some way people could see and offer help for. I was drowning the way so many people drown, quietly, working 3 jobs, smiling at customers, pretending the weight on my chest was normal, that everyone felt this tired, this hopeless, this alone. 10 months earlier, I had buried my husband. Caleb died in a hospital bed holding my hand, apologizing for leaving me with medical debt that would follow me for years. He was 30 years old. We had been married for exactly 10 months and 6 days. The cancer moved faster than any treatment could catch, and by the end, we were choosing between medication and rent, between his comfort and my brother's school supplies, between dying with dignity and dying drowning in bills neither of us could pay. I chose his comfort. I chose to hold his hand and tell him I'd be fine, that Mateo would be fine, that we'd figure it out.
Elite.
After the funeral, I sold our apartment, sold his tools, sold the wedding gifts we never got to use. I moved my 17-year-old brother Mateo into a one-room place in the worst part of the city where the walls were thin and the heat barely worked and the landlord didn't ask questions as long as you paid cash. I took every job I could find. Morning shift at a laundromat. Afternoon cleaning offices. Nights at Meridian, an upscale restaurant where people spent more on a single meal than I made in a week. I told myself it was temporary. That if I just worked hard enough, saved enough, kept my head down, we'd climb out of this hole. I believed hard work mattered. I believed kindness mattered. I believed if you did everything right, life would eventually do right by you. I was wrong about a lot of things back then. The night everything changed started like any other terrible night. I clocked in at Meridian at 5 in the evening. My third shift of the day, my feet already aching in shoes held together with superglue and hope. The restaurant was packed. Friday night crowd. Rich people celebrating things poor people dream about. Engagements. Promotions. Anniversaries that weren't measured in months, but in decades. I moved through the dining room with my cleaning cart, invisible the way staff always are to people with money. I cleared tables, wiped down surfaces, smiled when spoken to, disappeared when ignored. My manager, a man named Gerald who enjoyed reminding me how replaceable I was, pointed toward the VIP section. Table 12 needs immediate attention. Don't embarrass us. Table 12. The corner booth where the most important guests sat. The table that meant bigger tips if you were a server and more pressure if you were anyone else. I grabbed my supplies and headed over. The booth was occupied by 6 people. 5 men in suits that probably cost more than my yearly rent. And one man who made the others look like they were playing dress up. He sat at the center, dark hair falling naturally back from his face, the kind of handsome that made you nervous because men who looked like that usually knew it and used it. But it wasn't his looks that made my hands hesitate on the cleaning cart. It was the way everyone else at the table angled toward him. The way they waited for him to speak before they spoke. The way the air itself seemed heavier around him. I had seen powerful men before. Meridian attracted them. But this was different. This man didn't just have power. He wore it like a second skin. I approached the table, keeping my eyes down, professional, invisible. "Excuse me, I just need to clear these glasses." I reached for an empty wine glass near his elbow. His hand shot out and caught my wrist. Not violently, but firmly enough that I froze. "Look at me when I'm near you." His voice was quiet, controlled. The kind of voice that didn't need volume to command. I looked up. His eyes were dark, unreadable, the kind of eyes that had seen things I couldn't imagine and felt nothing about them. "That's better," he said, releasing my wrist. "I don't like being ignored." "I wasn't ignoring you, sir. I was doing my job." Something flickered across his face. Amusement, maybe. Or irritation. With men like him, it was hard to tell the difference. He picked up his wine glass, still half full of red wine, expensive stuff that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. And then, while maintaining eye contact, he tilted the glass. The wine poured out in a slow stream, directly onto the front of my uniform. It soaked through immediately, cold and wet against my skin, spreading across my chest like a stain I'd never be able to wash out. Around us, conversation stopped. People stared. His companions looked uncomfortable but said nothing. He set the empty glass down with a soft click. "Clean that up." My face burned. Not from embarrassment. From rage. But I needed this job. I needed every dollar. So I pressed the wet fabric against my skin, feeling the wine seep deeper, and I started to turn away. "Wait." I stopped. He leaned back in his seat, studying me like I was something mildly interesting he'd found on the bottom of his shoe. "A cheap woman like you should be grateful someone talks to you at all." The words hit harder than the wine. Cheap. I had been called worse. I had survived worse. But something about the casual cruelty, the performance of it in front of all these people, the assumption that I would just take it because I had to, because I was powerless, because I was nothing. Something in me snapped. I turned back around. Took 3 steps toward his table. Looked him directly in those dark, dangerous eyes. "If you want to see cheap, look in the mirror. You bought your respect. I earned mine." The silence that followed was absolute. His companions looked like they'd witnessed a murder. The nearby tables had gone completely still. Somewhere in the kitchen, a plate clattered to the floor. The Mafia boss, because that's what he was though I didn't know it yet, stared at me. Not with anger. With something far more unsettling. Interest. He tilted his head slightly, the way a predator might study prey that just did something unexpected. "What's your name?" "Does it matter?" "It does now." "Alara. Alara." He repeated it slowly, like he was tasting the syllables. "You just made a very stupid choice, Alara." "Wouldn't be my first." I walked away before he could respond, before my legs could shake, before anyone could see that I was terrified of what I'd just done. Gerald met me at the kitchen doors, his face purple with fury. "You're fired. Get out. Now." I nodded. I'd expected that. I grabbed my bag from the staff room, didn't bother changing out of my wine-soaked uniform, and walked out into the November cold. I made it 2 blocks before I started crying. Not because I'd been fired. Not because of the humiliation. Because I had just lost the highest paying of my 3 jobs, and rent was due in 5 days, and Mateo's school fees were overdue, and the hospital was threatening to send my late husband's medical debt to collections, which meant they could garnish my wages from my remaining jobs. I had stood up for myself, finally, after months of swallowing every insult and indignity. And it was going to cost us everything. I sat down on a bus stop bench and opened my phone. 3 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. Probably another debt collector. I deleted the voicemails without listening. Then I called Matteo. Hey, how was school?
Fine.
When are you coming home?
Soon.
Did you eat the leftovers I left?
Yeah.
Alara, there's a guy outside. He's been sitting in a car across the street for like an hour. My blood went cold. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone. I'm coming now. I ran. If you've enjoyed this opening, please hit that like button and subscribe because this story is just getting started and you won't believe where it goes. Drop a comment telling me if you've ever stood up to someone powerful. I want to hear your stories. Now, let me tell you what I found when I got home. I reached our building 20 minutes later, lungs burning, still wearing my wine-stained uniform under my thin jacket. The black sedan Matteo mentioned was gone, but that didn't make me feel better. It made me feel worse. I took the stairs 3 at a time to our third-floor apartment and pounded on the door. Matteo, it's me. The deadbolt clicked. The chain rattled. My brother opened the door looking pale, his textbook still in his hand like he'd been trying to study through his fear. He left about 10 minutes ago, Matteo said. Just sat there the whole time, watching our window. I locked the door behind me, both locks, the chain, everything. Our apartment was barely 400 square feet. One room that served as bedroom, living room, and kitchen. A bathroom, so small you had to step out to change your mind. Matteo slept on the pull-out couch. I took the floor with blankets and a pillow that had lost its shape months ago. The walls were thin enough that we could hear our neighbors argue, make up, argue again. The window faced an alley, where people did things you learn not to look at. But it was ours, and it was shelter, and that was more than a lot of people had. Did he try to come up? I asked.
No.
Just watched. Alara, what's going on? I couldn't tell him about the restaurant. Couldn't tell him I'd just mouthed off to someone dangerous enough to send men to our home within hours. Matteo worried about me enough already. At 17, he should have been thinking about college applications and girlfriends, not whether his sister could keep the lights on. Probably a debt collector trying to scare us. I lied. They do that sometimes. Don't worry about it. But I was worried. Terrified, actually. I'd been surviving on the edge for so long that I knew exactly how far it was to the fall. One missed payment. One angry landlord. One mistake. That's all it took to lose everything. I changed out of my uniform and stuffed it in the trash. No point trying to save it. Then I counted the cash I had hidden in 3 different places around the apartment. $230. Rent was $800. Due in 5 days. The math didn't work. It never worked. Matteo went back to his homework, pretending to focus while actually watching me pace. He'd gotten good at that over the past year. Reading my stress levels, staying quiet when I needed space, making himself smaller, so I'd have one less thing to worry about. It killed me. He should have been living with parents who could afford to send him to college, who could help with homework without falling asleep from exhaustion, who could give him a childhood instead of survival training. Instead, he got me. His sister, who was 8 years older, and barely keeping both their heads above water. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Hello. Silence. Then a male voice, professional, careful. Is this Alara Santos? Who's asking? My employer would like to speak with you. Tomorrow, noon, at the address I'm about to send you. He suggests you come alone. Tell your employer I'm not interested. He said you'd say that. He also said to tell you the men watching your building tonight will stay there until you agree to meet. Your choice. The line went dead. 3 seconds later, a text arrived with an address in the financial district. The kind of neighborhood where buildings had doormen and elevators required key cards, and people like me only entered through service entrances. I stared at the message until my vision blurred. This was about the restaurant. Had to be. The Mafia boss, the man I'd insulted in front of his people, wasn't letting it go. I had 2 choices. Ignore the summons and hope he got bored, or show up and face whatever consequences he'd planned. But it wasn't really a choice. Not when men were watching our building. Not when Matteo was involved. I would go. I would apologize if I had to. I would beg if that's what it took to keep my brother safe. Pride was a luxury I couldn't afford. That night, I barely slept. Every car that passed, every footstep in the hallway, Every sound made me tense. I kept checking the window, looking for the black sedan, seeing shadows everywhere. At 6 in the morning, I got up and went to my remaining job at the laundromat. For hours of sorting other people's dirty clothes, breathing in detergent fumes, pretending everything was fine while my coworkers complained about things that seemed impossibly small compared to my problems. At 11:30, I changed into the only professional outfit I owned. Black pants with a small stain near the knee that I'd tried to hide with a marker. A white blouse that was really more gray from too many washes. Shoes that pinched but looked decent from a distance. I took 2 buses to reach the financial district, getting there 15 minutes early because being late felt dangerous. The address led me to a building that looked like it was made entirely of glass and money. The lobby had marble floors, a ceiling 3 stories high, and a security desk staffed by men who looked like they could break me in half without trying. I approached the desk, feeling everyone's eyes on me, knowing I didn't belong. "I'm here to see someone." "Noon appointment." The guard barely glanced at me. He picked up a phone, spoke quietly, listened, then hung up. 32nd floor. Elevators to your right. Someone will meet you. The elevator moved so smoothly, I barely felt it. Soft music played. The walls were mirrors, and I avoided looking at myself, at how small and scared I appeared. The doors opened on the 30th floor directly into a reception area that probably cost more to decorate than I'd earn in my lifetime. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city spread out below like a kingdom. A woman in a perfect suit stood waiting. "Miss Santos. This way, please." I followed her down a hallway lined with abstract art and closed doors. She stopped at the last door, knocked once, opened it without waiting for a response. "He'll see you now." I stepped inside. The office was enormous. Windows on 2 walls. A desk that looked hand-carved from something expensive. Leather furniture arranged in a seating area that suggested power meetings and decisions that affected thousands of lives. And standing by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the city like he owned it, was the man from the restaurant. He turned when I entered. In the restaurant, he'd looked dangerous. Here, in his own space, he looked absolutely lethal.
Elara Santos.
He said my name like he'd been thinking about it. "Thank you for coming." I didn't have a choice. Everyone has choices. You made yours last night. I respected that. By sending men to watch my home, by threatening my brother. He moved away from the window, each step deliberate, controlled. He sat on the edge of his desk, casual but commanding. "No one threatened your brother. The men were there to ensure you arrived safely to this meeting. Nothing more." "I don't believe you." "I know. That's part of why you interest me." He gestured to a chair. I didn't sit. "What do you want?" I asked. "To apologize." That stopped me. Of all the things I'd expected, that wasn't on the list. "You what?" "I was cruel last night. Unnecessarily so. I poured wine on you to amuse myself and my associates. It was beneath me, and you didn't deserve it." I stared at him, searching for the trap, the angle, the real reason I was here. "You brought me all the way here to apologize?"
No.
"I brought you here to offer you a job." "I don't want your job. You haven't heard the offer." "I don't need to. Men like you don't do favors. Everything has a price." He smiled. Actually smiled, and it transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. "You're right. Everything does have a price. But sometimes the price is worth paying. Sit down, Elara. Let me explain." Against my better judgment, I sat. He walked to a cabinet, poured 2 glasses of water, offered me one. I took it, but didn't drink. "I need someone I can trust," he said.
Someone who isn't afraid of me.
"Someone who will tell me the truth even when it's dangerous. Last night you proved you're that person." "Last night, I proved I'm stupid and desperate."
No.
"You proved you have self-respect. Do you know how rare that is? How many people I meet every day who would let me do anything to them as long as I paid enough?" "What kind of job are we talking about?" "Personal assistant. You'd manage my schedule, handle correspondence, attend meetings with me, help me navigate situations that require someone with your particular perspective." "My perspective being poor and angry?" Your perspective being honest and unimpressed by wealth. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You want to pay me to be honest with you? That's the job. Among other things. 20,000 a month. Health insurance for you and your brother. Housing assistance if you need it. All legal. All documented. All legitimate. The number hit me like a physical blow. 20,000. A month. That was more than I made in 6 months at all 3 jobs combined. That was rent, food, Mateo's school, the medical debt, everything with money left over. That was breathing room. That was life instead of survival. That was too good to be true. What's the catch? I asked.
No catch.
You work for me, you get paid. Simple. Nothing is simple with men like you. Men like me, he repeated. What do you think I am, Elara? I met his eyes. Dangerous. Powerful. Used to getting what you want. Someone who doesn't pour wine on a stranger unless he's testing them or punishing them, and I don't know which is worse. He set down his water glass. My name is Salvatore Volkov. I run several businesses in this city. Some are legal, some operate in gray areas.
I won't lie to you about that.
But what I'm offering you is legitimate employment. You'd be working for my consulting firm. Everything above board.
Salvatore Volkov.
I'd heard the name before, whispered in certain circles, mentioned in news articles that danced around accusations they couldn't prove. He was connected. Powerful. The kind of man who made problems disappear. I need time to think, I said. You have until Monday. That's 3 days. Here's my card. The offer expires at midnight Monday whether you call or not. He handed me a business card. Heavy stock, minimalist design, just his name and a phone number. I stood to leave. Elara. I turned back. The men outside your building are gone. They won't return. You have my word. Your word doesn't mean much to me. It will. I left his office, rode the elevator down, walked back through that lobby where I didn't belong, and caught the bus home. My hands shook the entire way. 20,000 a month. Health insurance. A legitimate job. Or a trap that would destroy me in ways I couldn't even imagine yet. That weekend, I barely functioned. I went to work at the laundromat, my mind elsewhere. I avoided Mateo's questions. I looked up Salvatore Volkov online and found carefully scrubbed information that told me nothing and everything. Sunday night, I sat on our bathroom floor, the only place in the apartment where I could be alone, and I made a list. Reasons to say no, he's dangerous. This could get me killed. I'd be working for someone who operates outside the law. I'd be compromising every principle I have. Reasons to say yes. Mateo could finish high school without worrying about money. We could move somewhere safe. I could pay off Caleb's medical debt. I could sleep without nightmares about losing everything. The list for saying yes was shorter, but it weighed more. Monday morning, I called the number on the card. I'll take the job, I told whoever answered. But I have conditions. Mr. Volkov is expecting your call. Hold, please. 3 seconds later, Salvatore's voice came through. Elara.
I'm pleased.
I have conditions, I repeated. Name them. My brother never finds out what you really are. If this job puts him in danger, I walk immediately. And I need the first month paid up front. Not negotiable. Silence. Then. Agreed. Start tomorrow. 8 in the morning. Same address. Welcome aboard, Elara. He hung up before I could change my mind. I stood there holding the phone, feeling like I'd just sold my soul and wasn't sure yet whether I'd gotten a good price. Mateo came out of the bathroom, saw my face. What happened? I got a new job. A really good one. We're going to be okay. He hugged me, this kid who'd grown up too fast, who trusted me to keep us safe even when I had no idea how. I knew you'd figure it out, he said. You always do. I held him tight and hoped I hadn't just made the biggest mistake of my life. The next morning I showed up at Salvatore's building at 7:45. Better early than late. The same woman from before met me in the lobby and took me up to the 30th floor. But instead of Salvatore's office, she led me to a different room. Smaller, still expensive, with a desk and computer and a view that cost extra. This is your office, she said. Mr. Volkov is in a meeting but asked me to get you started. I'm Jennifer, head of HR. Let's go over paperwork. The next 2 hours were a blur of forms, tax documents, direct deposit information, security clearances. Jennifer explained my duties with professional efficiency. Manage Salvatore's calendar. Screen his calls. Accompany him to certain meetings. Take notes. Research topics he needed information on. Basic assistant work, she said, nothing complicated. It all seemed too normal. Too legitimate. At 10 o'clock, Salvatore appeared in my doorway. Settling in? Waiting for the other shoe to drop. Patience.
Come with me.
First meeting starts in 20 minutes. Bring your tablet. I followed him to a conference room where 6 men in suits were already waiting. They looked at me with barely concealed curiosity, this woman who'd appeared from nowhere to sit at Salvatore Volkov's right hand. The meeting was about real estate development. Boring, technical, exactly the kind of legitimate business Jennifer had described. I took notes, asked clarifying questions when Salvatore looked at me expectantly, and tried to figure out where the criminal empire part came in. It wasn't until the third meeting that I started to understand. A man came in, nervous, sweating despite the air conditioning. He sat across from Salvatore and stammered through an explanation about why certain payments were delayed. Salvatore listened without expression. When the man finished, Salvatore looked at me. Ilera, what do you think? Everyone stared at me. The nervous man looked confused. I looked at Salvatore. I think he's lying, I said quietly. The delay isn't about cash flow. It's about him testing whether you'll let him slide.
Salvatore smiled.
I think you're right. He turned back to the nervous man. You have 48 hours. Full amount.
No excuses.
The man left looking like he'd seen his own grave. After he was gone, Salvatore turned to me. How did you know? Body language. My husband used to do the same thing when he was hiding how bad the medical bills were. That's not stress about money. That's guilt about lying. Your husband.
He died.
Almost a year ago. Salvatore's expression shifted into something almost human. Almost gentle.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. You didn't know him. But something had changed between us in that moment. Some acknowledgement that we were both people with pasts and losses and complications beneath the professional surface. The days turned into weeks. I learned Salvatore's patterns, his preferences, his moods. I learned which calls to take seriously and which to deflect. I learned the difference between his legitimate businesses and the ones that existed in shadows. I learned he was more than the cruel man who'd poured wine on me. He was also the man who paid for his elderly secretary's mother's nursing home without telling anyone, who had a sister he called every Sunday, who read philosophy books in 3 languages, who could discuss art and music and literature with genuine passion.
He was complicated.
Dangerous, yes, but also more human than I wanted him to be. And somewhere in those weeks, something shifted again. I caught him watching me sometimes. Not threatening. Not predatory. Just watching like he was trying to solve a puzzle. And I found myself noticing things. The way he rolled his sleeves when he was focusing. The rare moments when his guard dropped and he laughed at something genuine. The careful way he asked about Matteo, never prying but making it clear he cared about my answer. I didn't want to notice these things. But I did. 2 months into the job, everything changed again. I came into work and found an envelope on my desk. Inside was a check for $50,000 and a note in Salvatore's handwriting. Your late husband's medical debt has been cleared. Consider it a bonus for excellent work. I walked into his office without knocking. He looked up from his computer. You can't do this, I said, holding up the check. I already did. I didn't ask for this. I don't want charity. It's not charity. It's me investing in your peace of mind, so you can focus on your work instead of drowning in debt. That wasn't your fault. You had no right. You're right. I didn't. But I did it anyway.
What are you going to do about it?
I stood there, furious and grateful and terrified of what this meant. Why? I asked finally. Why are you doing this? He stood, came around his desk, stopped close enough that I had to look up to meet his eyes. Because you matter, Ilera.
To this company. To me.
And I protect what matters. The air between us felt electric. I don't need protection. Everyone needs protection. You've just been surviving without it for so long you forgot what it feels like. He was right. And I hated that he was right. I left his office without another word, deposited the check, and used the money to pay off every debt I had. The relief was overwhelming. For the first time in over a year, I could breathe without drowning. But I knew the truth now. Salvatore Volkov wasn't just my employer. He was becoming something far more dangerous. He was becoming someone I trusted. And 3 days later, that trust led me straight into the trap I should have seen coming. It started with a phone call at 2 a.m. I grabbed my phone off the floor beside my makeshift bed, heart already racing because nothing good happened at 2 a.m. Salvatore's name flashed on the screen. Hello. I need you.
His voice was tight, controlled panic underneath. Now.
I'm sending a car. What happened? Not over the phone. 10 minutes. He hung up. I dressed in the dark, trying not to wake Matteo. Jeans, sweater, the sneakers I could run in if I needed to. My hands shook as I laced them up. A black SUV pulled up exactly 10 minutes later. The driver didn't speak, just drove through empty streets toward a part of the city I'd never been to. Industrial area. Warehouses and shipping containers and places where screams wouldn't carry. We stopped in front of a building with no signs, no lights except a single bulb over a metal door. Salvatore stood outside, still in his suit from whatever he'd been doing before this. Blood on his hands. Not his blood. I got out of the car. What did you do? Nothing yet. That's why you're here. He grabbed my arm. Not rough but urgent. I need you to see something. I need you to tell me I'm wrong. He led me inside. The warehouse was mostly empty except for 3 men in the center. 2 of Salvatore's, people I recognized from the office. And 1 man zip-tied to a chair, face swollen, breathing hard through his mouth. I stopped walking. Salvatore, what is this? That man works for Viktor Kozlov. Do you know that name? I shook my head. He runs the Russian side of things in this city. We have an agreement. We stay out of each other's territory. But 3 days ago, someone hit one of my shipments. Took $2 million in product. Killed 3 of my people. And you think he did it?
He says he didn't.
Says Kozlov didn't order it. Says it was freelancers who got lucky. Salvatore's jaw clenched. But if I believe him, and I'm wrong, I look weak. If I don't believe him, and I'm right, I start a war that could destroy everything I've built. The man in the chair raised his head, saw me. Confusion crossing his battered face. Who is she? She's the person who's going to decide if you live or die, Salvatore said. My stomach dropped.
No.
Absolutely not. I'm not doing this. Salvatore turned to me, grabbed both my shoulders. Elara, listen to me. You see things other people don't. You read people.
I need that right now.
I need you to look at him and tell me if he's lying. I'm not qualified to make that decision. You're more qualified than anyone else I have. Please. There was something in his voice I'd never heard before. Desperation.
Fear.
Not for himself, but for what would happen if he made the wrong choice. I looked at the man in the chair. Mid-30s, wedding ring, tattoos that told stories I didn't want to know. If I say he's lying, you'll kill him? Yes. And if I say he's telling the truth? I'll let him go and figure out who really hit me. I walked closer to the man. His eyes followed me, pleading without words. What's your name?
I asked.
Alexei. Do you have kids, Alexei?
2.
Girls. 6 and 8. And you want to go home to them tonight? More than anything. I studied his face. The fear was real. But fear didn't mean innocence. Did you know about the hit before it happened?
No.
Did Kozlov order it?
No.
I swear on my daughter's lives. Would you swear that if Kozlov was standing here instead of me? He hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. There it was.
He's lying, I said.
Not about the hit, but about something. He knows more than he's saying. Salvatore's expression hardened. Last chance, Alexei. Tell me everything, or she's the last person you ever see. Alexei's face crumpled. It wasn't Kozlov. It was his nephew, Dmitri. He's trying to prove himself, make a name. He planned it without permission. Kozlov doesn't even know yet. Salvatore pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke rapid Russian. Listened. His expression shifted from fury to calculation. He hung up. He's telling the truth. Kozlov just found out about his nephew. He's handling it internally. Salvatore looked at his men. Let him go. Get him cleaned up and take him home. They cut the zip ties. Alexei stood on shaky legs. Thank you, he said to me. Thank you. After he was gone, after the warehouse was empty except for me and Salvatore, I turned on him. Don't ever put me in that position again. I had to know. You had to know if I'd help you decide who lives and dies? That's what you needed to know. I needed to know if you'd still help me even when you saw this part of my life. The part one can't make pretty for you. I was shaking, adrenaline and rage, and something else I couldn't name. You said this job was legitimate. Most of it is. But sometimes the other parts bleed through. And I needed to know if you'd run when they did. Maybe I should run. But you won't. He was right. I wouldn't. And that terrified me more than anything else that had happened tonight.
Salvatore stepped closer.
Do you know why I really hired you, Alara? Because I'm honest and unimpressed by your money.
No.
Because from the moment you stood up to me in that restaurant, I couldn't stop thinking about you. Because you're the first person in 10 years who's made me feel like something other than a monster. Because when I'm with you, I remember what it's like to be human. The air left my lungs. Don't say things like that. Why not? They're true. Because I can't care about you. Because you're dangerous and I have a brother to protect, and I've already lost one person I loved. I can't do it again. What if I promised you'd never lose me? You can't promise that. Men like you don't get happy endings. He reached out, brushed a strand of hair from my face. His hand lingered against my cheek. Then maybe I need someone to teach me how to be a different kind of man. I should have pulled away. Should have maintained professional distance. Should have remembered all the reasons this was a terrible idea. Instead, I leaned into his touch. This is a mistake, I whispered. Probably. But I've made worse. He kissed me. Not forceful. Not demanding. Gentle. Questioning. Giving me every chance to pull away. I didn't pull away. I kissed him back, and it felt like falling and flying at the same time. When we finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine.
Stay, he said.
Not just for the job. Stay with me. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to care about someone who lives the way you live. Then we'll figure it out together. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe that somehow this could work, that I could keep Matteo safe and still have him. But I'd learned long ago that wanting something didn't make it possible. Still, I nodded. Okay, we'll try. His smile transformed his entire face.
Come on.
I'll take you home. The next 3 months were the strangest of my life. By day, I was Salvatore's assistant. Professional, efficient, keeping his legitimate businesses running smoothly. By night, I was becoming something else. Someone he trusted with everything. Someone who saw behind the carefully constructed walls he showed the world. He told me about his childhood in Russia, about the father who taught him that power was the only thing that mattered, about the sister who still believed he could be saved. He told me about his first kill at 17, about the choices that had led him to where he was now, about the empire he'd built on blood and fear and careful strategy. And I told him about Caleb, about the hospital rooms and the impossible choices, and the grief that still caught me off guard. About Matteo and the weight of being responsible for someone else's entire future. About the fear that lived in my chest every single day that I'd fail, that I'd lose him too. We didn't make sense together. We shouldn't have worked. But we did. He was gentle with me in ways that contradicted everything I knew about him. He remembered that I hated cilantro. He made sure I ate when I got too focused on work. He asked about Matteo's grades and actually listened to the answers. And slowly, terrifyingly, I fell in love with him. Not with the monster people feared. With the man underneath. The one who read poetry at midnight. who donated anonymously to children's hospitals, who cried at his sister's wedding, who looked at me like I was the only real thing in his world. Matteo noticed the change. "You're happy," he said one night, suspicious. "Why are you happy?" "I'm allowed to be happy." "Is it a guy?" "Maybe." "Is he good to you?" I thought about Salvatore paying off my debts, about the way he touched me like I was precious, about how safe I felt in his presence despite everything I knew he was capable of.
Yes.
He's good to me. Then I'm happy you're happy. If only it were that simple. For months after that first kiss in the warehouse, Salvatore took me to dinner at a restaurant so exclusive it didn't have a name. Private room, view of the city, champagne that probably cost more than my old rent. "What's the occasion?" I asked. He pulled a small box from his pocket. "Not a ring box. Something else." "Open it." Inside was a key. "What's this?" "Key to a condo. 3-bedroom, safe neighborhood, close to Matteo's school. It's yours. Both of you." My throat tightened. "Salvatore, I can't accept this." "You can. You will. Because I'm tired of you sleeping on the floor. Because Matteo deserves his own room. Because I want you safe and comfortable." "This is too much." "Nothing is too much. Not for you." He reached across the table, took my hand. "Move in with me instead. Bring Matteo. I have more than enough space. You'd both be protected, provided for. You'd never have to worry about money again." My heart hammered. "You want us to move in with you?" "I want you in my life completely. No more separation between work and personal. No more pretending we're just employer and employee. I want you, Alara. All of you. Permanently." It was everything I'd been afraid to want. "What about Matteo?" "He can't know what you really do." "He won't. As far as he's concerned, I'm just a businessman who cares about his sister." Which is true. And when your world gets violent, when the parts you can't control bleed into our lives, that's why I want you close. So I can protect you better. I looked at this man who terrified half the city and treated me like I was made of light. "Okay," I said. "Yes." His face lit up. "Yes.
Yes.
We'll move in with you." He stood, pulled me up, kissed me like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. "You won't regret this. I promise you won't regret this." I wanted to believe him. We moved in 2 weeks later. Salvatore's penthouse was ridiculous. 4,000 square feet, floor-to-ceiling windows, a kitchen bigger than our entire old apartment. Matteo walked through it with his mouth open, touching things like they might disappear. "This is insane," he said. "Alara, are you sure about this guy?" "I'm sure. Because if he hurts you, I don't care how big he is, I'll find a way to hurt him back." I hugged my baby brother, who was trying so hard to be the man of the family. "I know. But you don't have to worry. He's one of the good ones." Matteo gave me a look that said he wasn't entirely convinced, but he'd trust my judgment. That first night in Salvatore's home, after Matteo had gone to bed in his new room with its new furniture and new everything, Salvatore and I stood on the balcony overlooking the city. "Are you happy?" he asked, terrified.
But yes.
"Happy." He wrapped his arms around me from behind, solid and warm and safe. "I'm going to take care of you. Both of you. I promise." "Don't make promises you can't keep." "I don't." I leaned back against him and tried to ignore the small voice in my head that said this was all too good, too perfect, too much like the calm before everything fell apart. Because it was. 3 days later, I came home early from a meeting to surprise Salvatore with lunch. I found him in his study on the phone, speaking quiet and tense. He didn't hear me approach. I heard him say, "Handle it. I don't care how. Just make sure there's nothing connecting back to us.
No witnesses.
No evidence.
No trace."
He hung up, turned, and saw me standing in the doorway. "Alara." What was that about? Business. What kind of business requires no witnesses? His expression closed off. The kind you don't need to know about. We live together now. I'm raising my brother in your home. I need to know what I'm part of. He was silent for a long moment. There was a problem. Someone tried to move against me. I'm handling it. Handling it how? The way I handle all problems. The implication hung between us. You're going to kill someone. I'm going to protect what's mine. Which includes you and Mateo. Would you rather I let threats go unanswered? Let people think they can come after me without consequences? I'd rather you not murder people while my brother sleeps down the hall. This is who I am, Elara. You knew that when you moved in. Knowing and living with it are different things. He stepped closer, his voice softening. I keep this part separate. You and Mateo will never see it, never be touched by it. You have my word. Your word isn't enough when lives are at stake. Then what do you want from me? You want me to stop being who I am? To walk away from everything I've built? I can't do that. This is my world. And what's my place in it? He cupped my face in his hands. You're my heart, the reason I want to be better. But I can't be better if I'm dead, and I'll be dead if I show weakness. Do you understand? I understood. I hated it, but I understood. Just promise me Mateo never gets involved. Promise me he stays innocent. I promise. He'll never know. Never be part of it. On everything I have, I swear it. I wanted to believe him. I chose to believe him. That was my first real mistake. The second came 2 weeks later when I answered Salvatore's phone while he was in a meeting. A woman's voice, cold and professional. Tell Salvatore that Victor wants to meet.
Tomorrow.
Pier 7. Midnight. Come alone. Who is this? Tell him if he doesn't show, the deal is off and his shipment stop. Permanently. She hung up. I gave Salvatore the message. Watched his face go carefully blank. What deal? I asked. Nothing you need to worry about.
Salvatore.
He pulled me close, kissed my forehead. Trust me. Please. Just trust me.
So I did.
He went to the meeting at Pier 7. He told me to stay home, keep Mateo safe, not worry. He left at 11:30, told me he'd be back in an hour. At 2 in the morning, he still wasn't home. At 3, I started calling. No answer. At 4, I called his second-in-command, a man named Marcus who terrified me almost as much as Salvatore. Where is he? Marcus's voice was strained. There was a problem at the meeting. I can't tell you more. Stay where you are. Lock the doors. Don't let anyone in. What kind of problem? The kind that means war just started. He hung up. I stood in Salvatore's penthouse, Mateo asleep, the city glittering below, and felt the foundation I'd built my new life on start to crumble. Because I'd given Salvatore everything. My trust. My heart. My brother's safety. And I was about to find out if that was the biggest mistake of my life. Salvatore came home at 6 in the morning. I was still awake, sitting in the dark living room, phone in my hand, every worst-case scenario playing through my mind on repeat. I heard the door open. Heard his footsteps, slower than usual. Heard him stop when he saw me sitting there. Elara. I turned on the lamp. He looked like he'd been through hell. Suit jacket gone, shirt untucked and blood-stained, a cut above his left eye that someone had tried to bandage badly. But he was alive. Standing. Whole. I ran to him. What happened? Are you hurt? Marcus said there was a problem. He pulled me tight against him, breathing hard into my hair.
I've fine.
It's handled. You're bleeding. It's nothing. Just a disagreement that got physical. I pulled back, looked at him properly. The blood on his shirt wasn't all his. What kind of disagreement? The kind that's over now. He touched my face. I'm sorry I scared you. I couldn't call. It was too dangerous. Dangerous how? He walked past me to the bar, poured himself 3 fingers of whiskey, drank it in one swallow. Victor wanted to renegotiate our territory agreement. I said no. He didn't like that answer. Things escalated. Escalated to what? Salvatore, please, I need to know what's happening. He turned to face me, and for the first time since I'd known him, he looked tired. Not physically exhausted. Soul tired. There's going to be tension for a while. Nothing that affects you or Mateo. But I need you to do exactly what I say when I say it. No questions.
Can you do that?
You're scaring me. Good. Fear keeps you careful. Careful keeps you alive. He kissed me, hard and desperate, like he was trying to memorize the taste of me. Go wake up Mateo. Pack bags for both of you. Enough for a week. My blood went cold. Why? Because I'm sending you somewhere safe until this blows over. We're not leaving you. Yes, you are. Marcus is already arranging it. A house outside the city. Security. Everything you need. You leave in an hour.
No.
I'm not running. We're in this together, remember? His expression hardened. This isn't a discussion, Alara. You're going. End of conversation. You don't get to make that choice for me. I do when it's about your safety. When I took you into my life, I took responsibility for keeping you alive. I'm not failing at that. And what about you? Who keeps you alive? I've been keeping myself alive for a long time. I'll manage. I grabbed his face, forced him to look at me. I love you. Do you understand that? I love you, and I'm not leaving you to fight whatever this is alone. Something broke in his expression. You can't love me. Not now. Not when everything is about to get worse. Too late. I already do. He kissed me again, softer this time, like he was trying to apologize for something I didn't understand yet. Then love me enough to trust me. Go with Marcus. Keep Mateo safe. Let me handle this without worrying about you. Every instinct screamed at me to refuse. But Mateo was in the next room. Mateo, who had no idea what kind of world he'd stepped into when we moved here. 1 week, I said. Then I'm coming back whether you like it or not. 1 week. I promise. He was lying. I could see it in his eyes. But I didn't have a choice. I packed. Woke Mateo with a story about Salvatore needing us out of the way for business renovations. My brother was 17, not stupid, but he was also used to trusting me, so he didn't ask too many questions. Marcus arrived with 2 other men I didn't recognize. All of them armed. That detail did not escape Mateo's notice. Alara, what's really going on? Just a precaution. Everything's fine. Salvatore pulled Mateo aside while I finished packing. I couldn't hear what he said, but I saw my brother's face shift from confusion to understanding to determination. When they finished talking, Mateo looked at me differently. Older somehow. What did you tell him? I asked Salvatore. That sometimes powerful men make enemies. That protecting you is my priority. That he's the man of the family when I'm not around. He's 17. I was 14 when I had to be a man. He'll be fine. We left as the sun was rising. The drive took 2 hours, heading north into areas where trees outnumbered buildings and cell service got spotty. The safe house was exactly that. Modern, secure, surrounded by walls and cameras and men whose job was to keep us alive. It felt like a prison wrapped in luxury. The first 3 days were bearable. Salvatore called twice daily. Never long conversations, but enough to know he was alive. Mateo studied for finals, trying to pretend this was normal. I paced and worried, and tried not to imagine worst-case scenarios. On the 4th day, the calls stopped. I tried his cell. Nothing. Tried the office. His assistant said he was unavailable. Tried Marcus. Straight to voicemail. On the 5th day, I told Mateo I needed to go back. I'm coming with you, he said.
No.
You're staying here where it's safe. I'm not letting you go alone. Mateo, please. I need to know you're okay. I can't do what I need to do if I'm worried about you. He looked at me with Caleb's eyes, stubborn and protective. Salvatore told me to take care of you. That's what I'm doing. He told you to be smart. Being smart means staying here. We argued for an hour. Finally, Mateo agreed to stay if I promised to check in every 2 hours and come back within 24 hours regardless of what I found. I took one of the SUVs and drove back to the city. The penthouse was empty.
No Salvatore.
No signs of struggle, but also no signs of life. His bed hadn't been slept in. His study looked like someone had been through it searching for something. I called Marcus again. This time he answered. You need to go back to the safe house. Where is he? Handling business. Marcus, I swear to God, if you don't tell me what's happening right now, I will make your life hell. Silence. Then a sigh. Meet me at the warehouse. The one from before. 20 minutes. Come alone. I drove faster than I should have, breaking every traffic law between the penthouse and the industrial district. Marcus was waiting outside, smoking a cigarette like his nerves needed the help. He's going to kill me for this, Marcus said. Where is he? Negotiating with Victor. Has been for 3 days. It's not going well. Not going well how? Victor wants more than territory. He wants partnerships, percentages, access to everything Salvatore's built. And he's threatening to go after anyone Salvatore cares about if he doesn't agree. The bottom dropped out of my stomach. He knows about us. Everyone knows about you. You're his weakness. The thing he'll burn the world down to protect. Where are they negotiating? I can't tell you that, Marcus. He looked at me, and I saw something like pity in his eyes. Even if I told you, you couldn't help. You'd just make it worse. Victor knows Salvatore cares about you.
He'll use that.
Use you. The best thing you can do is go back to the safe house and let Salvatore handle this his way. His way gets him killed. Maybe. But that's his choice to make. I wanted to scream.
To hit something.
To do anything other than stand here helpless. There has to be something I can do. Marcus dropped his cigarette, ground it under his heel. There is one thing. But Salvatore will never forgive either of us if I tell you. Tell me anyway. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. A woman, maybe 40, elegant, dangerous looking. That's Katerina Volkov, Salvatore's sister. She's in the city, staying at the Grandview Hotel under the name Kate Walsh. She's the only person Victor might actually listen to because she has connections that even he respects. Why would she help? Because despite everything, she loves her brother. And because she's been trying to get him out of this life for years. This might be her chance. He gave me the hotel information. Watch me get back in the SUV.
Alara.
Whatever happens, remember that everything he's done has been to keep you safe. Even the things that look like betrayal. What does that mean? But he was already walking away. I drove to the Grandview, the nicest hotel in the city. The kind of place where they don't let you through the lobby without looking like you belong. I didn't belong, but I walked in like I did anyway. The front desk wouldn't give me her room number, but I waited in the lobby until I saw a woman matching the photo for Marcus. Same elegant posture, same dangerous eyes, wearing a coat that probably cost more than a car. I intercepted her near the elevators. Katerina Volkov. She turned, assessed me in 2 seconds flat. Do I know you?
No.
But I know your brother.
I'm Hilare Santos.
I need your help. Recognition flashed across her face.
Ah.
The cleaner who stole Salvatore's heart. I wondered when I'd meet you. You know about me? My brother talks about very little else these days. It's sweet. Also terrifying given his line of work. She pressed the elevator button. What do you want? Victor is threatening him. Threatening us. I need you to help me stop it. The elevator arrived. She stepped in, held the door for me.
Come.
We'll talk upstairs. Her suite was on the top floor, 2,000 square feet of luxury that she barely seemed to notice. She poured 2 glasses of wine, handed me one. So, you love my brother? Yes. And you want to save him from himself. I want to keep him alive. She smiled, sad and knowing. Many women have tried. All have failed. What makes you different? I'm not trying to change him. I'm trying to help him survive being exactly who he is. Katerina studied me over her wine glass. Victor is an old problem. He and Salvatore have been circling each other for years. Victor wants what Salvatore has built, but he can't take it by force without starting a war that would destroy both their organizations. So, he's trying another way. He's trying to leverage Salvatore's weakness.
You.
If Salvatore gives in to protect you, Victor wins without firing a shot. If Salvatore refuses, Victor makes good on his threats and Salvatore loses what matters most. There has to be a third option. There is.
Victor dies.
But that starts the war anyway because Victor has powerful friends who demand revenge. I set down my wine glass. What if there's a way to make Victor back down without killing him? without giving in.
I'm listening.
You said you have connections Victor respects. What if we use those? What if we make it clear that hurting Salvatore means making enemies he can't afford to make? Katerina's smile widened. You're smarter than the others. I see why Salvatore loves you. She pulled out her phone. I can make some calls, apply some pressure, but it won't be enough on its own. Victor needs a reason to walk away that saves his pride. Like what? Like something valuable enough to justify backing down. Information. Access. Something he wants more than he wants to humble Salvatore. My mind raced. Salvatore mentioned Victor has been trying to expand into legitimate businesses. Real estate development. But he doesn't have the political connections to get the permits he needs. And Salvatore does. Through me, actually. My old boss from the laundromat, his cousin, is on the city planning commission. I helped him get his daughter into a program at Matteo's school. He owes me a favor. Katerina laughed, genuine and surprised. You're going to save my brother's life with a favor from a laundromat boss's cousin. That's either brilliant or insane. Can you set up a meeting? You, me, Victor. Neutral ground. No weapons. Just conversation. Victor doesn't do neutral ground. Then we do it his way.
On his territory.
Show him respect while offering him a way out. She considered this, fingers drumming on her wine glass. If this goes wrong, you could die. You understand that. If I do nothing, Salvatore dies. I'll take my chances. Salvatore is going to be furious. He can be furious and alive. I'll take that trade. Katerina made 3 calls. Spoke in rapid Russian, her tone shifting between charming and threatening depending on who was on the other end. Finally, she hung up. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Victor's restaurant. You, me, and him. Salvatore doesn't know, and won't know until after. If this works, it works. If it doesn't, we both die, and Salvatore starts a war that destroys everything. I understand. She walked me to the door, paused before opening it. He really loves you. More than I've ever seen him love anything. That's a gift and a curse. Love makes him stronger and weaker at the same time. I know. Good. Then you understand what you're risking. Not just your life. His soul. I drove back to the safe house, checked on Matteo, lied about where I'd been. Spent the night trying to figure out how to negotiate with a man who made Salvatore look gentle. The next day dragged. Every hour felt like 10. I kept my phone close, waiting for Katerina's confirmation. At 6 p.m., the text arrived. It's on. Black car picks you up at 7:30. Don't be late. Good luck. I told Matteo I had to meet someone from Salvatore's office. Another lie to add to the growing pile. The black car arrived exactly on time. The driver didn't speak. We drove into the city, to a neighborhood I'd never been to, stopping in front of a restaurant that looked normal from the outside but felt anything but. Katerina waited by the entrance, wearing armor disguised as an evening dress. Last chance to run, she said. I'm not running. Then let's go meet the devil and see if we can make him dance. We walked inside together, and I tried not to think about all the ways this could go catastrophically wrong. Viktor Kozlov sat at a corner table like a king holding court. Mid-50s, gray at the temples, the kind of face that had seen every ugly thing humanity could offer and participated in most of them. 2 men flanked him, both armed, both watching us like we were prey that hadn't realized it yet. Katerina walked in first. I followed, keeping my spine straight, refusing to show fear. Katerina Volkov, Victor said in accented English. It's been too long. Not long enough, Victor. He laughed, gestured to the chairs across from him.
Seat.
You brought the girl. This must be serious. We sat. A waiter appeared, poured wine none of us would drink. You wanted a meeting, Victor said, looking at me now. So talk. You want to expand into legitimate real estate development? I said, keeping my voice steady. But you can't get the city permits you need. Too much red tape. Too many people asking questions about your background. This is not news. I can get you those permits.
Fast track it.
No questions. 3 properties of your choice within city limits. Victor's eyes narrowed. In exchange for what? You leave Salvatore alone. Permanently. No more territory disputes. No more threats. You get what you want. He keeps what he has. Everyone wins. And if I refuse? Katerina leaned forward. Then you make an enemy of everyone I know in Moscow. Every connection, every alliance, every favor I'm owed. I will burn your entire operation to the ground, Victor. Not because I care about my brother's business, but because I care about him. And this woman makes him happy. Victor studied us both. Then he smiled. You have courage. Both of you. I respect that. He picked up his wine glass, swirled it. But I don't negotiate with women who think they can threaten me in my own restaurant. I'm not threatening you, I said. I'm offering you something valuable. A way out that saves everyone's face and gets you what you actually want. What I want is respect. You're Salvatore. He thinks he owns this city. Time someone reminds him, he doesn't. Respect isn't taken, Victor. It's earned. And killing Salvatore won't earn you anything except enemies, and a war you can't win cleanly. Maybe I don't need to win cleanly. Katerina's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her face going carefully neutral. We should go, she said quietly to me. Not yet, Victor said. I'm not done. Yes, you are. Katerina stood, pulling me up with her. Thank you for your time, Victor. Think about the offer. We walked out, Victor's laughter following us. In the car, Katerina's hands shook as she gripped her phone. What happened? I asked. Salvatore knows. He's at the warehouse. Marcus told him everything. My stomach dropped. Is he angry? Furious. He wants to see you.
Now.
The drive to the warehouse felt like driving toward my own execution. Katerina didn't speak. Neither did I. Salvatore was waiting outside, pacing like a caged animal. When he saw the car, he stopped, his expression a mix of rage and something that looked like fear. I got out. Katerina stayed in the car. What were you thinking? Salvatore's voice was quiet, controlled, which somehow made it worse. I was thinking I could help. Help. You walked into Victor's territory without protection, without backup, without telling me. Do you understand what he could have done to you? He didn't. This time. What about next time? What about when he realizes you're the easiest way to hurt me? There won't be a next time. Katerina, and I made it clear that hurting me means making enemies he can't afford. Salvatore laughed, harsh and bitter. You think that matters? You think threats from my sister will stop a man like Victor when he decides he wants something? I think I bought us time. I think I gave him an option that doesn't end in war. You gave him ammunition. You showed him exactly how much you mean to me. You painted a target on your back. I already had a target on my back the moment I moved into your penthouse. At least now I'm doing something about it instead of hiding. He grabbed my shoulders, not rough but desperate. I can't lose you. Do you understand that? I can't watch another person I love die because of the choices I've made. Another person? He dropped his hands, turned away. My mother. She died when I was 16. Victor's people killed her. Sent a message to my father about territory disputes. She was innocent. Completely innocent. Just collateral damage in someone else's war. The pain in his voice made my chest ache.
Salvatore, I'm sorry.
I didn't know. No one knows. I don't talk about it. But that's why I can't let history repeat itself. Why I need you safe. Why I sent you away. Sending me away isn't the same as keeping me safe. It's just keeping me ignorant. He spun back to face me. Ignorance keeps you alive in this world. I don't want to just be alive. I want to be with you. Fighting beside you. Not cowering in some safe house pretending everything's fine. That's not your choice to make. Yes, it is. You don't get to decide everything, Salvatore. I'm not a possession you protect. I'm a person who loves you and refuses to stand by while you destroy yourself trying to keep me in some fantasy of safety that doesn't exist. We stood there, at an impasse, both stubborn, both terrified, both unwilling to bend. Finally Salvatore spoke, his voice hollow. Marcus, Take her back to the safe house. Double the security. She doesn't leave for any reason.
Salvatore, no.
I love you too much to watch you die. Even if that means you hate me. Marcus appeared from inside the warehouse, looking uncomfortable. Come on, Alara. Don't do this. Please. But Salvatore had already walked away, back into the warehouse, leaving me standing there with a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. I could fight Marcus, make a scene, accomplish nothing. Or I could go back to the safe house and figure out another way. I went back. But not quietly.
Not obediently.
I went back planning. 3 days later, everything fell apart. I woke up at the safe house to sounds of shouting.
Gunfire.
Glass breaking. I ran to Matteo's room, found him already awake, terrified. What's happening? I don't know. Stay here. Lock the door. I grabbed my phone, called Salvatore. No answer. Called Marcus. Straight to voicemail. Called Katerina. She answered on the first ring. Are you safe? I don't know. Someone's attacking the safe house. Get to the basement. There's a panic room. Code is 1847. Get Matteo and go now. I grabbed my brother. We ran downstairs as the sounds of violence got closer. Found the panic room. Punched in the code. Sealed ourselves inside. The room was small, concrete, stocked with supplies for a siege. A monitor showed feeds from security cameras throughout the house. On the screens, I watched men in tactical gear move through the safe house. Watched Salvatore's security team fight back. Watched people die in grainy black and white. Matteo stood beside me, shaking. Alara, what is this? What's really going on? I couldn't lie anymore. Not when we might die here. Salvatore isn't just a businessman. He's involved in things. Dangerous things. And now those things are coming for us. Is he Mafia? Yes. My brother processed this, his face cycling through shock, anger, fear. And you knew. I knew. How could you bring me into this? Because I loved him. Because he promised to keep us safe. Because I thought I could have both. I was wrong.
I'm so sorry, Matteo.
I'm so sorry. He hugged me, this kid who was more man than boy now, who'd had to grow up too fast because of my choices. We'll figure it out, he said. We always do. On the monitors, the fighting stopped. The tactical team was leaving, taking 3 of Salvatore's men with them. Dead or alive, I couldn't tell. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered.
Alara Santos.
A woman's voice, cold and professional. You have something Victor wants. I don't have anything. You have Salvatore's heart. That's worth more than any territory, any business, any amount of money. What do you want? He wants you to deliver a message. Come to the North Side docks, warehouse 12, tomorrow at noon. Come alone. If Salvatore shows up, if any of his people show up, Victor kills everyone you love, starting with your brother. How do I know you won't kill us anyway? You don't. But you don't have a choice. Noon tomorrow. Don't be late. She hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, understanding with perfect clarity that I was trapped. Completely, utterly trapped. If I went, I probably died. If I didn't go, Victor would kill Matteo. If I told Salvatore, he'd try to save me and walk into an ambush. There was no right choice. Only terrible options and worse outcomes. The panic room door opened. Katerina stood there, gun in hand, 2 of Salvatore's men behind her. Are you hurt?
No.
They didn't find us. She lowered the gun, relief crossing her face. Salvatore's on his way. He's going to want to move you somewhere else. They called. Victor's people. They want me at the docks tomorrow. Alone. Katerina's expression went dark. It's a trap. I know. But if I don't go, they kill Matteo. If you do go, they kill you both. Maybe. But at least then we're together. She grabbed my shoulders. Listen to me. Victor is playing a game. He wants Salvatore desperate, reckless, willing to make mistakes. You're the bait. If you take it, Salvatore loses everything trying to save you. So, what do? You trust me. And you let me handle this my way. Salvatore arrived an hour later, moving like a storm, all fury and fear contained in expensive clothes and cold eyes. He pulled me into his arms, so tight I could barely breathe. I thought I lost you. Not yet. He pulled back, looked at me, really looked. What's wrong? What happened? I told him about the call. Watched his face go from concerned to murderous. You're not going. If I don't, they kill Matteo. Then we take the fight to them.
Now.
Tonight. I call everyone I have. We hit Victor hard enough that he doesn't get up again. And how many people die? How much blood gets spilled because of me? All of it. Every drop. I don't care.
Icare.
Salvatore, I can't live with that. Can't build a life with you on a foundation of bodies. Katerina stepped forward. I have another way, but you're both going to hate it. We listened, and she was right. We both hated it, but it was the only option that kept everyone alive. Katerina's plan was simple and terrifying. I would go to the meeting, but not alone, not helpless.
Idea huida.
Katerina would have people positioned nearby, hidden, waiting. The goal wasn't to fight. It was to get Victor to confess, on tape, to his plans. Give Salvatore leverage. Proof he could use to destroy Victor without firing a shot. He'll search me, I said. He'll find the wire. Not this one. Katerina showed me a device smaller than a button. Subcutaneous. Goes under your skin. They won't find it unless they're looking specifically for it. And even then, they'd need equipment. You want to put a tracking device under my skin. I want to keep you alive. This is how we do it. Salvatore paced the room like a trapped animal. I don't like it. Too many things can go wrong. Everything can go wrong, Katerina said. But this gives us the best chance. I'm going with her. If you go, Victor kills her immediately. You know that. He did know that. I could see it in his face. Then send Marcus. Send someone. I'm sending 4 people. Positioned around the warehouse. They won't move unless things go bad. But they'll be there. Salvatore stopped pacing, stood in front of me. I can't ask you to do this. You're not asking.
I am chosen.
This is the only way to end it without a war. What if it doesn't work? What if he kills you anyway? Then you make sure it wasn't for nothing. You take the recording and you destroy him. You make sure Matteo gets to finish school, have a life, be safe. Elara. Promise me. Whatever happens tomorrow, you promise me my brother stays safe. His jaw clenched. I promise. But I'm making you a promise too. You're coming back alive. I don't care what I have to do. You're coming back to me. That night, Salvatore didn't let me out of his sight. We lay in bed at the safe house, neither of us sleeping, holding each other like we could stop time through sheer force of will. I should have stayed away from you, he said quietly. That first night, should have let you walk away. I wouldn't have walked far. You had me the moment you apologized. I never apologize. I know. That's how I knew you meant it. He kissed me, slow and desperate. When this is over, we're leaving. All of us. You, me, Matteo. Somewhere far away where Victor can't touch us. You'd really walk away? From everything you've built. I'd burn it all down if it meant keeping you safe. Don't make promises in the dark, Salvatore. Morning always comes. Morning did come. Too fast. Too bright. Katerina inserted the wire at dawn. A small incision behind my ear, the device slipped under skin, a single stitch to close it. It hurt less than I expected. Or maybe I was too numb to feel it. Matteo hugged me before I left. Come back, he said. Please come back. I will. I promise. Another promise I hoped I could keep. Salvatore walked me to the car.
Marcus was driving.
4 other cars would follow at a distance. I love you, Salvatore said. I love you too. Say it again. When you come back. Say it again, so I know we survived this. I will. He kissed me one more time, then stepped back, watching as Marcus drove away. The docks at noon were exactly as threatening as expected. Warehouse 12 sat at the end of a pier, isolated, surrounded by water on three sides.
Perfect for a trap.
Marcus stopped 100 yards away. Last chance to change your mind. If I change my mind, my brother dies. Salvatore would protect him.
I know.
But I protect Salvatore. That's how this works. I got out of the car, walked toward the warehouse alone. The door was open. Inside, Victor waited with 6 men, all armed.
Elara Santos.
You came. I came. Now, let's talk about what you really want. He smiled. Smart girl. Arms out. One of his men searched me. Thoroughly. Professionally. Found nothing. Victor gestured to a chair.
Seat. He said.
You tried to negotiate with me, Victor said. Tried to offer me permits and connections. Like I'm some legitimate businessman who needs your help. You don't want to be legitimate? I want respect.
Fear.
I want Salvatore Volkov on his knees understanding that he doesn't own this city.
Ido.
So, this was never about territory or business. This was always about putting an arrogant boy in his place. By threatening the woman he loves. By taking the one thing he can't replace. My blood went cold. You're going to kill me, eventually. But first, Salvatore will watch you die. Will understand exactly what it costs to disrespect me. Then I'll kill him too. And then I'll take everything he built and make it mine. That's a lot of steps. A lot of things that can go wrong. Victor pulled out a phone, showed me a photo. Matteo, tied to a chair. In some room I didn't recognize. Your brother was easier to take than I expected. Salvatore's men at the safe house are good. But mine are better. Everything stopped. You promised. If I came, you'd leave him alone.
Elite.
You'll both die. Collateral damage. Nothing personal. He was still talking.
Explaining his plan.
How he'd frame Salvatore for our deaths. How he'd take over Salvatore's operations. How he'd rule the city. But I couldn't hear him over the roaring in my ears. They had Matteo. The only person I had left in the world. And I'd walked into this trap thinking I could outsmart a man who'd been playing these games since before I was born. Victor's phone rang. He answered, spoke in Russian, his expression shifting from confident to confused to angry. He hung up. It seems your Salvatore is smarter than I thought. He took 3 of my warehouses in the last hour. Hit them simultaneously. Took everything.
Good, I said.
Then you understand he won't stop until he gets us back. Then I'll kill you now instead of making him watch. He pulled a gun. The warehouse door exploded inward. Salvatore came through it like vengeance incarnate. Marcus and 20 armed men behind him. Put the gun down, Victor. Victor smiled, pressing the gun to my head. Come any closer, and I paint the walls with her brain. Everyone froze. Salvatore's face was absolutely calm. Terrifyingly calm. You made a mistake, Victor. You took what's mine. Now there's no scenario where you survive this. I have your woman. I have your leverage. You have nothing. The recording device in Alara's head has been broadcasting everything you said for the last 10 minutes. My lawyers are already delivering copies to every federal agent in the city. Your confession. Your plans. Your crimes. You just destroyed yourself. Victor's face went white. You're blinking, Salvatore continued. That's how I know you're afraid. And you should be. Because even if you kill her, I will hunt you to the ends of the earth. I will destroy everyone you love. I will make you beg for death before I finally grant it. I have her brother. No, you don't. My sister took care of that an hour ago. He's safe. Your men are dead. The only leverage you had just disappeared. Victor's hand shook. Salvatore took a step forward. Last chance.
Gun down.
Walk away. Or die here. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Victor lowered the gun. This isn't over. Yes, Salvatore said. It is. 3 things happened simultaneously. Victor raised his gun again. I threw myself sideways.
Salvatore fired.
Victor fell. The gunshot echoed in the warehouse like thunder. Victor hit the ground, blood spreading from his chest. Not dead. Not yet. But dying. His men dropped their weapons, Hands up, smart enough to know when a fight was lost. Salvatore crossed the space to me in 3 strides, pulled me up, checked me for injuries with shaking hands. Are you hurt?
No. I'm okay.
He pulled me against him, breathing hard into my hair. Don't ever do that again. Don't ever put yourself in danger like that again. You came for me. I'll always come for you. Always. Marcus was already on his phone, calling cleanup crews, lawyers, people who made problems disappear.
Victor coughed blood, tried to speak.
Salvatore crouched beside him. You want to respect, Victor. You wanted to prove you were stronger than me. But you forgot something. I'm not strong because I'm ruthless. I'm strong because I know what I'm fighting for. Victor's eyes glazed over. His breathing stopped. It was done. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. Police, probably. Or ambulances. Or both. We need to go, Marcus said.
Now.
But Salvatore wasn't moving. He was looking at me with an expression I couldn't read. What? I asked. You were willing to die. For your brother.
For me.
You walked into this knowing you might not walk out. Of course I was. I love you. That kind of love is dangerous. Gets people killed. Are you seriously lecturing me about dangerous love right now? You just killed a man for me. He was dying anyway. I just expedited it. I almost laughed. Would have if the whole situation wasn't so insane. Where's Matteo? Is he really safe? With Caterina. 3 hours north. Completely secure. I'll call her now. He made the call on speaker. Caterina answered immediately. Is she alive? I'm alive, I said. Is my brother okay?
He's fine.
Scared, but fine. Victor's men never got close. It was all a bluff. Relief hit me so hard my knees weakened. Salvatore caught me, held me up. Bring him home, Salvatore said. It's over. We left the warehouse before the police arrived. Marcus had already scrubbed the security footage, paid off witnesses, arranged alibis. By the time anyone official showed up, we were ghosts. Salvatore took me back to the penthouse. To his home.
To safety.
I showered for an hour, trying to wash off the fear and adrenaline and the feeling of Victor's gun against my head. When I came out, Salvatore was on the balcony, looking at the city spread below. I joined him. What happens now? I asked.
Now?
Victor's organization fractures. His lieutenants fight over the scraps. Some will come after me. Most won't. They're smart enough to know what happens when you threaten my family. Your family. He turned to face me.
You.
Matteo. Caterina. That's my family now. The only thing that matters. And your business? Your empire? I'm stepping back. Letting Marcus run the day-to-day operations. I'll keep oversight, maintain connections, but I'm done being the man everyone fears. I want to be the man you love. The man Matteo can respect. That requires change. You'd really do that? I already started. 3 of my less legal operations, I sold them this morning. To people who'll run them without me. The money's going into legitimate investments. Real estate, tech companies, things that don't require violence. I stared at him. When did you decide this? The moment I thought I might lose you. Realized that all the power in the world means nothing if I'm alone. He pulled a small box from his pocket. My heart stopped. This isn't how I wanted to do this, he said. Wanted somewhere romantic. Planned speech. Perfect moment. But I've learned perfect moments don't exist.
So, I'm doing it now. Badly.
Honestly. He opened the box. A ring. Simple, elegant. A single diamond that caught the city lights.
Ilada Santos.
You've changed me in ways I didn't think were possible. Made me want to be better. Fight for something beyond power. I'm still dangerous. Still complicated. Still have enemies. But if you'll have me, I promise to spend every day trying to deserve you. Will you marry me? Tears ran down my face.
Yes.
Yes, you idiot. Of course, yes. He slipped the ring on my finger, kissed me like we had all the time in the world now that we'd survived this. I love you, he said. I love you too. Below us, The city pulsed with life. Millions of people living millions of stories. And we were just two of them. Two people who'd found each other in the worst possible circumstances and decided to build something beautiful anyway. Katerina brought Matteo home that night. My brother walked in, saw me alive, and broke down crying. I thought you were dead. I thought he'd killed you, and I'd lost you like we lost Caleb. I held him while he sobbed. I'm here.
I'm alive.
We're okay. He pulled back, looked at Salvatore standing in the doorway. You saved her. She saved herself. I just provided backup. Matteo studied him for a long moment. Are you going to marry her? Salvatore glanced at me. I held up my left hand, showing the ring. Matteo's eyes went wide. You said yes? I said yes. Even knowing what he is? What he does? Especially knowing what he is. Because I also know who he is. And who he's trying to become. My brother looked between us, processing. Okay. But if you hurt her, I don't care how dangerous you are. I'll find a way to hurt you back.
Salvatore smiled.
I'd expect nothing less.
Deal.
They shook hands. Two men in my life, figuring out how to coexist. 6 months later, everything had changed. Salvatore kept his promise. He stepped back from the violent parts of his business, transitioning into legitimate operations. It wasn't easy. Some people challenged him, thinking he'd gone soft. He proved them wrong without killing anyone, which might have been more impressive than if he had. Marcus took over day-to-day operations, running things with brutal efficiency. Katerina helped facilitate connections in legitimate business circles. Slowly, Salvatore built a new empire. Legal. Profitable.
Clean.
Well, mostly clean. Matteo finished his senior year at the top of his class. Got into 3 universities. Chose the one closest to home because, as he said, someone needed to keep an eye on his sister. He and Salvatore developed an unexpected friendship. Salvatore taught him chess, business strategy, how to read people. Matteo taught Salvatore how to laugh at stupid movies, how to be patient, how to be the kind of man people followed because they wanted to, not because they feared him. I watched them both grow.
Change.
Become better versions of themselves. And I changed too. I wasn't the broke cleaner anymore, drowning in debt, terrified of every bill. I wasn't the grieving widow, suffocating under loss. I was something new. Someone new. I started a nonprofit. Used Salvatore's connections and money to create a foundation that helped people like I'd been. People drowning in medical debt. People working 3 jobs and still not making it. People who needed someone to see them, really see them, and offer a hand up. We helped hundreds of people in the first 6 months. It felt good. Important. Like my suffering had led to something meaningful. The wedding was small. Just family and close friends. Katerina cried. Marcus looked uncomfortable in a suit. Matteo walked me down the aisle, solemn and proud. Salvatore waited at the altar, and when he saw me, his face did that thing where all his walls came down, and he was just a man in love. We said our vows. Promised to love through complications, through danger, through whatever came next. We meant it. The reception was at Salvatore's penthouse. Good food, better wine, people celebrating like we'd actually earned this happiness. At one point, I found Matteo on the balcony, looking at the city. You okay? I asked.
Yeah.
Just thinking about Caleb. Wishing he could have been here. He would have liked Salvatore. Once he got past the scary parts. You think? I think Caleb wanted me to be happy. And I am. Finally. Matteo hugged me. I'm proud of you. For surviving everything. For building this. We survived it. Together.
Yeah.
We did. Salvatore found us there. Wrapped his arms around both of us. My family, he said quietly. Our family, I corrected. A year after the wedding, we moved into a house outside the city. Big yard, room for kids someday, space to breathe. Matteo had his own wing for when he came home from university. Katerina visited monthly. Marcus stopped by for chess games with Salvatore. Life was good. Normal even. or as normal as it could be when your husband used to run half the criminal operations in the city. I woke up one morning, 2 years after that night in the warehouse, and realized I was happy. Genuinely, completely happy. Salvatore was still asleep beside me, face relaxed in a way it never was when he was awake. I watched him breathe, this dangerous man who'd chosen to be gentle for me. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I opened it. Congratulations on your happiness. It won't last. Victor had a son, and he wants revenge. Soon. My blood went cold. I deleted the message. Didn't wake Salvatore.
Not yet.
Because for now, in this moment, we had peace. And I'd learned that peace was something you fought for every single day, against every threat, no matter how impossible the odds. Victor's son could come, could try, but he'd learn what his father learned. You don't threaten Salvatore Volkov's family and survive. I got out of bed, made coffee, watched the sunrise paint the sky gold and pink. Matteo would graduate next spring. The foundation had helped over 1,000 families. Salvatore's legitimate businesses were thriving. We were building something real. And if someone tried to take it, we'd do what we always did. We'd fight. Together. And we'd win. Because that's what family does. I heard Salvatore wake up, felt his arms wrap around me from behind. Morning, he murmured against my neck. Morning. What are you thinking about? How far we've come. How much we've survived. And how I'd do it all again. Every terrible moment. If it meant ending up here with you. He turned me around, kissed me softly. I love you, Ilera Volkov. I love you too. Outside, the world turned. Threats gathered. Challenges waited. But for now, in this moment, we had each other.
And that was enough.
So that's my story. How I went from a cleaner who couldn't pay her bills to the wife of one of the most powerful men in the city. How I learned that love isn't about safety or sense or logic. It's about finding someone worth fighting for and refusing to let go. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about survival, love, and second chances. Drop a comment telling me what you thought. Would you have made the same choices? Could you love someone like Salvatore? And remember, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, you're stronger than you think. Sometimes the most unexpected people become our greatest allies. Sometimes the scariest situations lead to the most beautiful outcomes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. This is Ilera Volkov, reminding you that happy endings are possible, even when they start with wine stains and threats. Even when they require courage you didn't know you had. Even when the man you love is dangerous and complicated and everything you never thought you wanted. Sometimes, those are the best kind.
Stay safe out there.
And remember, respect is earned, not bought. Until next time.